morning, everyone. Lee Checkstad greeting you on this Thursday morning. Hope it is nice where you are. It's actually snowing in Vancouver this morning, so we're dealing with all sorts of stuff this morning, but our guest has a lovely background behind her. Kathleen Black is our guest today. Good morning, Kathleen. Good afternoon where you are.
Good morning, good afternoon, depending where you're watching from, and thanks for having me. I'm super excited. Yeah, I've been posting different adventures, so that's Bellagio in Lake Como. I thought I'd be there today.
Yes, wouldn't that be nice? I know a lot of our viewers already know who you are. You're well known to the Century 21 system, but if there's anyone else, Kathleen Black, coaching and consulting, and you've just released a book that was #1 on pre-sale, Top 1% Life. You've been doing this coaching and consulting for 10 years now, so focusing on top producers and teams. So you have a lot to offer our people. Particularly today's topic is keeping your mindset up and positive during times like this, because we're all getting to the point, it's been 3 weeks now, and we know from health reports the last couple of days, it's not ending anytime soon. So you've got some really great advice for people on how to stay strong in this time.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm so excited to connect with all of you. I'm so thankful for Century 21 to have this platform. They've had amazing speakers, amazing content. I've been keeping up with it, and it's just been fantastic. So thanks so much for that and for the introduction, Lee. And I'm just going to momentarily share my screen, but today is all about being able to lead, right? Because positivity and mindset is going to come from a place of leading ourselves, and there's so much going on around us. So I think it's really important to kind of take a step back and say, what can we focus on to be strong in times of crisis, in times of transition? I've been kind of calling it an in-between time because essentially, we'll transition after, but this isn't a market that most of us have been in. This isn't a time that most of us have experienced. So I think really important to kind of start with, where are we at now, and where do we want to go to, and how can we be as positive and proactive as possible? I also want to say that I think it's really important that when we go through this discussion today together, because I like to think, we're connecting together. When we do that, focusing on having a positive mindset, focusing on, living it as much as you can in abundance in trying times can be difficult for a couple of reasons. One is some people can feel unsure or feel bad about being positive or focusing on the positive when there's legitimately, concern happening around us. There's loss happening around us. There are people on the front lines, in the doctors and nurses, paramedics, firefighters, multiple different industries who are helping us all in a difficult time. And I want to start this off by stating that, first of all, we're thinking and supporting those people, but also that, dimming ourselves or shying away from being strong and doing what we can in a tough time doesn't help the people who need us. In fact, it makes us less capable of helping the people who need us. So today is going to be all about paying reverence to the people who are supporting us and to what is going on around us by being as strong as possible, leading as strong as possible, and contributing as much as we possibly can. So the idea that we should feel bad for leaning into being as proactive as possible, for me, is kind of contradicts the end game of where we want to go with this, which is to be able to help as many people, including ourselves, our family, our loved ones, our business, and our communities. How can we be strong to help all of those different facets? So I'm going to share my screen here so we can get started together and go into full. There we go. Go into full mode. So today I want to focus on how we can use positive mentality to go from place of feeling potentially frozen to a place of feeling extremely focused right now. I won't go into a lot of my background because like Lee said, I'm very thankful and honored to have this time with you and to have connected with many of you before. So essentially it's 11 years now full time working with top producers to expand their businesses, or working with top producers to create mega teams across the country. Now we're very grateful to work with teams and top producers across North America. Part of that work includes, how do we help people have an optimal mindset? You know, how do we go from a place of, you know, level 1 capacity to a place of level 10 capacity? You know, how can we essentially do more, and how can we be more adaptable? This is something that we work with already all the time with top producers, that I think is going to really help all of us, including top producers, because we all need a reminder right now of how to lead from a place of strength and a place from focusing on the optimal of what we can do right now. So my background does include real estate coaching. I have a degree in psychology. I also am a master practitioner in NLP. I'm an NLP coach. I'm a hypnotherapist. I deal in energy mapping. There's a whole bunch of other modalities, emotional intelligence, DISC trainer. Why am I saying all this? Because essentially what I look to do is to be able to model people who are the best of the best in any particular situation. So that includes people who thrive under stress, people who can thrive and stand strong in chaos. You know, what do they know? What do they think? What choices do they make? What do they do? We can actually use that information today to help us more than ever to stand strong in what we might see as a storm around us at this time. So I'm not going to go into that more, because today is all about helping all of you. So a lot of us might be transitioning or in a place of calm after being in a place where real estate business was so busy it felt like it took over our lives for some of us. So some of us are going into an eye of the storm, coming from a really busy time into maybe a little bit of a slowdown, and potentially going back into a really busy time. So I want to propose that this time might be extremely valuable to you to make the changes you want before you go back into a different type of a storm. Because a top producer, a busy real estate agent, a busy real estate team, they're always working at a fast pace. And usually every single leader I've ever worked with who built incredible businesses got the clarity to do what they needed to do because they felt the strain of the storm that was their business, that was their life. So times like this, when the outside world gives us all this extra pressure and tension, it's actually giving us the ability to harness that, to use it as power to make the changes we want to make in our business. So I'm going to be talking about that today for sure. And I think we can all remember the times, you know, trying to hustle to get home, to have dinner with our family, to get someone to soccer, for me to get my daughter to vocal lessons, which she will be doing today on Zoom at 5 o'clock. We all remember that time. And now all of a sudden we have this quick shift and we're actually at home all the time. So we're not rushing to get back, but we're here. So what do we want to focus on solving and talking about today? Number one, how can we turn a crisis into a powerful pivot? That's going to help us to be positive. It's going to help us to be focused on the things we have control over, which are the only things we can change. So we're going to get into that a little bit more. How can we lead with confidence? So ground down with our values, our principles, what we believe to be true, what we believe to be important, and how can we have the confidence to reach up to what we envision, what we can create right now in this time that some people are feeling in fear and other people are seeing as, you know, a huge opportunity, which we'll get into a little bit more in a minute. How can we use this time to increase efficiency and productivity? And yes, I am going to challenge you on that, because I think that's one of the biggest hacks or abilities that we can have right now. We can take the things that we were already investing in and we can actually make changes to make them more efficient, more productive, which means they're worth more to us in our business when the market transitions back. And that's extremely important. There's so much advice right now talking about cut costs. And I think it's key. And I want to say we're in real estate. So for me, when I first started in real estate, I very quickly went through a separation. I was a single mother. So I would collect my trade checks in an envelope and keep them in my purse because of two things. One, I wanted security and I wanted something I could hold on to. But two, because I was well aware that I was in an industry that I needed reserves, that I needed backup. So my mindset has always been, lower and reduce my overhead on a personal side as much as possible so that I can feel safe. I can give that little like monkey on my ear, devil on my shoulder, the ego in my brain saying, you don't have enough money, you're not safe, you're a single mom, you have nobody supporting you. I wanted to give that little voice so much security so I could say, I am more than okay on the personal side, so I can lean in to the positive, educated risks that are going to allow me to grow on the business side. I needed to give myself that security because I had no backup. So right now, we're in the real estate industry. Do we need reserves? Do we need backup lines of credit? Or potentially, for some of you, the government has released opportunities with loans that offer some forgiveness right now, things like that. We do need to make sure we have reserves, because the reality is some of the things we were paying for up until now are a cost. They were not giving us a return. We can't make them more efficient. We can't make them more productive. But some of the things you might be considering cutting right now are actually an investment. And they might cost you 3 times, 10 times more in the loss from cutting them today, because you're not going to get the gains when we transition out after. So my focus is on how can we turn what fear sees as a cost into clarity. What is a cost? What is an investment? An investment can grow exponentially if we make it more efficient and more productive. So it's just a different lens to look at our business. How can we get strategic now to transition out stronger later? How can we get our business organized now? For a lot of our clients, they're saying, okay, finally, those CRM plans we always wanted to do, making sure the tags are in the system. Like, there's so much organization that they're just jumping to get done now, because they're saying before we were processing so many transactions, we didn't have the extra time. If we wait until we're busy again, that time's going to cost us money. We have transactional things we can be doing. We have face-to-face clients, whether it's sales team or admin. But right now, there's no extra cost over and above getting the resources of training or updating. It's only going to pay you back later when you get busy. So it's a very unique time to be making sure we're doing projects that are going to get us more organized right now. Resist the myth of fast stops and quick starts, right? Full stop. Anyway, I said it differently yesterday, but what we want to do is go back over the mindset that I can do a quick stop and a fast start. The two don't go together. So the metaphor that I think helps a lot is to say, if I've been going to the gym, or for example, me with yoga, let's use a realistic example. So I've been going to yoga some weeks 4 times a week, sometimes usually 6 times a week. And some weeks, if I'm super busy with an event, I'll go like 12 times a week just because I need to stay anchored. So I do what I call bookmark my day. So I always bookmark my CRM. Always go in the CRM in the morning, always look at my schedule in the morning, and I bookmark the end of my business day, going right back on that CRM and right back on that schedule to make sure I haven't missed anything that's high priority, anything like that. If I'm super busy in a time of a lot of tension in my life, I'll also bookmark yoga or a run. So I'll go to yoga in the morning, go for a run at night, whatever the case. So let's say it's been 3, 4, maybe even 5 years of running that routine. Now, because we're in this adjustment, I'm not going to yoga right now. So the idea that I could go for 3.5 or 4 years, let's say 4 to 6 times a year, like habitually, and then take 2 weeks off, 6 weeks off, 6 months off, 4 months off, whatever it's going to be. And I'm going to walk back into that studio and I'm going to feel just as strong, just as flexible, just as in flow as I did before, is extremely unrealistic. It's going to take me weeks or months to get up to my same momentum level. That's why I'm going for walks every day. Yesterday, I did a 5K in the morning run, and I did a 5K or a little bit more walk in the afternoon, because I just need to supplement. So if you've gone to the gym for 10 years, 6 times a week, and now you're going to take X number of weeks or months off, and you're going to walk back in the gym, it's the same idea. The strength, the momentum, the habits, the internal drive to attend is not going to be the same. So we can't have a fast start in our business. We can't have a full stop in our business and a quick start. It doesn't work that way. So some people are saying, hey, you know what? I'm just going to chill in this time. What can I do with real estate? We're going to talk a lot about what we can do with our mindset and what we can do with our business to be very proactive right now and put tons of goodwill out into the market and help people who need our business service as well, completely remotely. We'll talk a little bit about that with my time today. So resist the myth of quick stops and fast starts. And really important, how can we retain talent? How can we attract talent? If you are a broker owner watching this, you're a broker manager, you are a team leader, we are definitely going to see, we're already seeing agents looking for resources, looking for solutions, and looking for leadership. The idea that in the sun, when, you know, life is beautiful, we can build these businesses and lead when we're profitable and things are going well. And then the rain comes out and we don't need to lead at that point, or we can kind of just take a pause. That's not realistic for any of us in leadership. People are attracted by those solving immediate problems in a crisis, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So we already have people reaching out going, I'm on this team. I haven't heard from my team leader. I don't know what we're doing with this time. There's no strategy. There's no support. Why? I don't know why I'm staying here. Like, I don't really see being here after. We're seeing people reaching out for the same reason around brokerages and where's the best place for them to feel strong and confident right now. So leadership is really important. So how can we retain talent and how can we attract talent? Because people will be looking to go to high value, rich, supportive environments that have the resources that they need. To have the ability to have the ultimate staying power and future growth, you need strategy, you need community, and you need accountability. It is impossible to increase your efficiency and your productivity, which I just talked about before, without having accountability. That's what the business needs. The business needs a metric to see it improving. So we need strategy, we need community, and we need accountability. You need to light a path forward because so many people right now are feeling frozen. You know, they're feeling like they're in the dark and they don't see the path and they don't even see somebody lighting those next steps. So what happens when we're in a time of uncertainty is very similar to what happens when we're in a time of overwhelm. So we either freeze, we go into denial, or we take action. And those are three really different responses. So in real estate, we've seen a lot of, and I'm just going to talk to two different examples for this before we move on. We've seen a lot of polarity, right? We've had a huge polarization of how people believe our role, our value, how we should be acting right now in this time. And it's really interesting because we have two different poles with completely different mentalities, but both of them are operating a little bit in my opinion, right? A little bit in a sense of denial, right? We have the one person who is completely saying nothing's changed. I'm going to keep operating my business. You know, I'm going to run open houses even though I'm not supposed to. I'm still showing even though it's not essential. I'm putting my head down and nothing's changed. I'm in complete denial about what's going on around me. So I'm not focused on, you know, helping the community or doing other things. I'm just focused on business, business, business. The other side of this pole is saying that of the polarizing ideas is saying that, you know, we shouldn't be focused on business right now. This is not the time to be thinking real estate. We shouldn't be talking business with anybody. And basically both sides are judging each other. So the one side also has their head in the sand because they're not looking at their business and they're not looking at the needs of the market right now from a real estate perspective. And those needs exist. Right? Mortgage brokers are in tune with the needs of the market in a crisis. People are worried about their house not closing because there's a layoff. They're worried about getting their first home because they were pre-approved. Now there's been changes to employment. There's so many things happening right now that we can see. People need information from mortgage brokers. We have landlords who are concerned that they've bought or not getting rent. There's so much happening. We're looking to lawyers for what clauses should we have? Are things going to be closing? I don't hear in any other industry people condemning or shaming the idea of being active in our businesses. We are professionals, we're real estate agents, that's our career, and we have vital information that we can bring. So the danger is in these two polar opposite dynamics because they're both judging each other and the solutions fall somewhere in the middle. How can we support our communities? How can we offer help and assistance? How can we bring goodwill to as many people as possible? How can we also help to serve and solve immediate problems that exist right now in the crisis market in real estate? How can I bring the right information to the right people at the right time when they need me in real estate? How can I take my client experience and move all the pieces in the process completely remote? How can I now learn from people who run a process-driven real estate business? So what is the step one in my process? What's step two, step three, step four? Let's say there's 10 steps in my process. What I want to shed some light on, if you're not already doing this, and some of you are, and thank you, because you're our first wave adopters and innovators, and our first wave innovators always take a kick. They're criticized to the ends, but usually a week or two later, everybody's looking at them for solutions, and then they kind of refine it and make them better. So essentially, those of us running with a process, what we're looking at this and saying is, hey, we have 10 steps, maybe to our buyer process. We have 10 steps to our seller process. Now I have those steps. I also have tools or systems. So step 1, I know my tools or systems. I know my metrics. I know how efficient they are. Step 3, I have a buyer consultation or I have a listing consultation. I already have those tools and systems. Those people who run their business that way in our industry, in our network at least, they are pivoting very, very quickly because they can take those tools and systems and they can put them remote. So here's the beauty of it. There's some people you're going to talk to who need real estate information, who have real estate questions. Some of those people, you're going to lead them to step 4 in your process. You might lead them to step 6. Some of those people will go to step 10. They'll buy a house with a condition of view after acceptance. They'll buy a house sight unseen sometimes if they're an investor or somebody who's bought new construction is very confident with the process. We can do so many things remotely. Some people will only go to step 2 in the process. Here's the beauty of it. You're talking to those people and you're leading the process. Our role right now as professionals is to provide solutions. Here's how I can help you. Here's what that looks like. I dictate what it looks like. I dictate the process. And I'm speaking for all of us when I say I dictate the process. The client decides if they want to move forward or not, one step at a time. So those who run a process-driven business are in exponentially better position right now because they're not in the product sales business. They're in the service consulting business. And in the service consulting business, we can move almost everything we do remote and we can focus on solutions. In the product sales business, I'm having a tough time right now because the reality of somebody calling me and saying, I'm interested in that house on Green Street, I want to see it. And me saying, okay, perfect. Let me see if I can get you in at noon. That's not the reality of our times. That's our economy has changed, our health standards have changed, and we have this ability to look at 3 things really importantly: professionalism, safety, and efficiency. Professionalism, safety, and efficiency. And this is really going to change some things after in how the public interacts. And I think also in using these systems remotely is going to change something else. We're going to realize how many people reach out about a house. And if we give them more information, whether it's on a Zoom platform or it's going through, floor plans, it's going over, virtual staging, maybe even virtual renovation reports with quotes for what it would look like to get the house where you want it to be. All of a sudden, we have this realization that we can do so much value in consulting before we even get to the house. So instead of driving an hour there, showing the house, driving an hour back for something that if we had given them more information online, they might have discredited, it's going to shift things quite a bit. So I'm just laying the foundation that there's so much ability right now with strategy, community, and accountability to get ahead of this curve and use it to our advantage, which I think is important. I know is important. So 3 markets, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but I think as leaders, in order to have an optimal mindset, I need to accept where I am and I need to know where I am. So accept it. And I always say, what's going to happen is what's going to happen. Like I have no control over that. So it's going to be what it's going to be. And I think, if you can accept that you're going to be okay with the absolute worst case scenario, you have the most confidence anybody can have. So if you can accept, in a business light, that, you might take some losses in your business initially and you might invest in different ways and you might get better and you might grow exponentially later on. If you can have the full confidence of saying, for example, me and my business, if I lost my business, I'm okay with that because here's the only reason I'm okay with it. I'm okay if I lost my business because I'm going to do absolutely everything I can to be strategic, to be proactive, to double down on my resources for my clients and the outside community. So if I lose my business when I've done absolutely everything I could possibly do, I'm okay with that. But if I lost my business and I was like halfway showing up, I wasn't being strategic, I was living in fear, I was judging the people who were acting and saying, how dare they, why are they getting growth when I work so hard? If I lost my business because I didn't show up, that's something that would be very, very difficult for me to live with. And I think we all have that ability to go, if worst case scenario happened, I tried my best, I can rebuild it, I can pivot. And that's a huge confidence in our mindset right now. Just let it go. It's out of our control. All we can control is what we're doing today. So 3 markets, and I'm going to try to talk slower. I realize I get excited and I talk too fast. I'm aware. 3 markets. Number 1, bear market. In real estate, we might call this a buyer's market, right? Like a more slag economy. Bull market. This is a positive, healthy economy. In real estate, we might call this a seller's market in our version of data, right? The crisis market is not a bear market and it's not a bull market. It's specific to itself. It's the in-between. So crisis market demands its own answers, it demands its own value, and people still will bring, you know, their money to the market for things that are going to solve immediate problems for them. So do we need to consider the messages we're bringing out to the market? Do we need to listen for what do buyers and sellers, investors, potential buyers, you know, anything in that mix, what do those people need right now in this crisis market? Not in a seller's market, not in a buyer's market, in the now, in the in-between. Because essentially, we are in a storm, right? We're in a storm right now, and one of the most important things that we can do is get on the loudspeaker and make sure that our clients and the people we're taking care of are hearing from us with information, solutions if we have them. We don't always have them, but information and how we're being proactive before they start to panic. So the example I always give is, you know, we're on a plane, your clients are all sitting on that plane, you're the flight crew. You're the pilot, you're the flight attendant, you're those people, and there's a storm outside. They want to hear from you in advance so that their stress, their worry, their anxiety doesn't increase. Just like on a plane, a simple message of saying, we're about to have turbulence, everything's fine, you know, probably be 5 to 10 minutes, then we'll turn the seatbelt signs off. Then the pilot comes on, if it's been longer, and says, you know, we're experiencing a little longer turbulence than we thought, but we've talked to the flight deck and everything's totally fine. We're expecting clear skies in about 20 minutes. You know, we're going to put our drink service on hold and we'll be out there right after that. Everybody just relaxes, right? But normal flight, no extraordinary turbulence. They don't make the announcement. The anxiety, stress, and worry levels of passengers goes up exponentially. They've studied this again and again and again, and we can learn a lot from that. We want our clients hearing from us right now. So very important. So we've got these 3 markets. We're in the crisis market. So we know where we're at. We're accepting where we are. What can we do in this market to bring immediate problems? So again, this is not the market where people are looking for, you know, theories, where people are looking for advice. This is not the market where people are looking for prospective ways to increase like their real estate portfolio that might work. This is the market where people overall in the economy are looking to solve immediate problems. Really, really important. So what can we do to service our clientele given the transition that we're in right now? Because afterwards, we might go into smooth waters, we might, but the reality is we'll probably have some more transition, we'll have some waves, and even if we go into a bear market or a bull market, a buyer's market or a seller's market, depending on where you're at, it's not gonna be that smooth for a little bit. So one of the most important things we can do is just know where we're at now and be as adaptable as possible, right? For all those Bruce Lee fans, the be like water has never been more relevant, really important. I know where I want to go, but I'm open to different how. If my strategy 1 doesn't work and the market doesn't reply and my potential buyers and sellers aren't interested, or the loved ones I'm reaching out to, you know, my past clients aren't really resonating with my message, switch it up. Guide yourself with what you want to do and where you want to go. Be open to the how. It's really maneuverable, right? Most adaptable wins. So solve immediate problems. 3 areas that make it super simple. So I hope everybody is taking notes. If you're not, please do. I have my coaching hat on. These are action items if you would like them. So you can listen to a webinar like this. That's great. If you're writing notes, your retention is going to go up another 20%. If you give yourself action items and you actually act on them, you're going to double that retention and value from this webinar. So I highly recommend write notes as we go and give yourself action items. And you'll notice I kind of cue you with some of them if you need them. If you're leading a brokerage, if you're leading a team, bringing clarity like this on who to talk to, how to talk to them, when to talk to them is you on the loudspeaker. It's going to create calm. And calm creates the ability to focus. So if our perspective is on what we can do, our focus is on what we can do, and we're going to act on what we can do, which is important. So communicate with those you lead, those you love first, obviously. Make sure those you love know you're there. Do they need any support? Those you lead includes brokerages, teams, it includes clients. Right now, we are leading any active clients, anybody who's pending but not closed yet, need to hear from us. You know, if you have somebody pending but they haven't closed yet, are you calling them and letting them know that you're talking to your affiliate partners? I have a good friend who I was chatting with yesterday, and her father is in the East Coast, so he's in the Maritimes, and he was renting a property, a home on another property, and the main person who owns the full property wanted to sell. He's since bought another property, but he can't find a moving truck. He can't find anyone to help him move. He's panicking. So he's like, already the closing date for where he lives is in April, and the closing date for where he purchased is in June. So right away, my first thing I said, has he talked to the realtor? The realtor's whole role is to have affiliate partners, and it's not to solve everything, but it's to have answers and solutions that they can have. So for example, as a realtor, have I talked to different movers so I know who's working and who's not? So I know any new expectations that they have. Have I talked to the mortgage brokers about general information, what to look for, so I have messages to bring to my clients? Have I talked to the lawyers? Make sure that you're communicating in advance how you're being proactive to people who are pending but not closed yet, really key. And finally, I'm going to talk to those in need, right? Reach out to my database, see what we can do. Some of us can help with money. Some of us can help with time. Some of us can help with extra, training. Like we're doing masterminds like Century 21 and leading in just with support, right? So those you love, those you lead, and those in need. If you're focused on those three areas, you're already in a place where you can be proactive. That is an action item. The second one I've just talked about, firm clients waiting to close. Third, active must sell and buy now clients. They should be hearing from you with protocol. So anybody who's an active buyer, an active seller, and a protocol for anyone looking to show your listings. Really key. I don't have enough time to go into our sales process version today, but having steps before the face-to-face showing, even when it's requested to be booked by you, is a really important idea right now. And I think it's a really crucial strategy. So what is our protocol for active sellers? Have we communicated that to them? What's our protocol for active buyers? And also, how are we leading ourselves and other agents in the industry? Because simply asking for, hey, I would love a video that's much more comprehensive and many more photos with the closets and the cupboards and everything like that. Even if the seller's taking it, it would allow us to have a lot more information before we even think about doing any type of face-to-face showing. This is a way to be proactive. It's a way to show your clients you care, and it's a way to alter your client experience so that you cannot drop a beat and keep moving forward with the people who need your help. Remote client experience, I've talked about a couple of times. It's great to know the steps in your process, to know the tools, and then you can move them virtually. So, right now more than ever, how do I offer a buyer consultation? It's not just, do I have a buyer consultation? That's great. I can book a Zoom meeting and load up my buyer consultation presentation, no problem, if I have one. But if I don't have language on how to offer a buyer consultation or why it's a value to the buyer instead of meeting at the house, my client process is already broken. So right now, some of you have the process, you have the tools, you're pivoting already, you already have pivoted. Some of you, this is such an amazing, vital opportunity to plug into some of those tools so that you can pivot now, but you can also be more efficient later. And I promise you, if you're in a product sales mindset, your ability to help so many more people efficiently and to provide more value when you move into a consulting service mindset is amazing. We're doing a mastermind on that next week. If anyone wants a recording, let us know for sure. So as well, new leads, follow-ups, center of influence or sphere of influence, and anybody who's in our new remote sales process, that's a new bucket. So anybody who is there, we need to have a way to approach those people. Shannon Smith from our company, Kathleen Black Coaching and Consulting, did a webinar already on these buckets. So I'm not going to take my time today on that, but I know Century 21 has offered the footage of that. I believe it's even on YouTube and posted on Facebook. So if you're looking to have specific solutions to how right now to talk to new leads, how to talk to follow-ups, both post-crisis and pre-crisis, how to reach out to your center of influence, your VIP COIs as well, something we work with, and how to support that remote process. Please watch Shannon's footage, because she goes into that like a whole 45 minutes almost on that. And she also talks about the next one, which is content strategy. If you're sending out email bulk drip campaigns, you're sending out generic emails in a sequence to buyers or sellers, like day one, they get email 1, day 2, they get email 2, et cetera. Please go through and either customize it or pause it for a little bit. Already people are relaxing, we're transitioning a little bit. Any of your new leads, you're probably okay, as in post-pandemic crisis, you're probably okay to have it on because they requested information in this time. But people before that, I highly recommend that you're adjusting your ad messages, you're adjusting your organic messages, and you're being very sensitive to being in a crisis market. So again, what do people need in a crisis market, and what do people want to hear from us about in a crisis market? Really important. There are people who are doubling up their ad spend right now because cost per lead on social platforms in most areas have gone way down. There's people pausing it. There's people stopping it. If you're not great at conversion, it's not a bad idea to stop it. But if you have a sales process, all you're doing is planting seeds, planting seeds, planting seeds. So when the sun comes back out, those seeds are going to sprout. That's what's going to happen. And that's what you'll see. You'll see really fast pivots come out of this, like we saw in 2017 in the GTA. We had areas that had 30–40% reduction in average sale prices. And what we did with those teams was it took about 4 to 6 weeks to pivot mentality. They already had bull market, bear market, buyer's market, seller's market systems. They had all that. But we were in a little bit of a mini crisis, right? We were in the in-between of them saying, why would someone want to buy in this market? Why would somebody want to sell in this market? These were really fair questions. So what we did was focus on shifting the mindset so that our perspective as what we could do with value, and focus on only connecting with people and taking them as many steps in the sales process as they were comfortable going. What happened after? The sun came out, confidence came back in the market. They didn't necessarily rebound all of their average sale price amounts. I'm not saying that right away, that didn't happen, but the confidence did come back in the market. And the people who were planting seeds in the dark, some of them rebounded and made up their entire year. Some of them rebounded and made up most of their year. The people who were not able to have enough faith in their business to plant seeds in the dark, the people who did not understand how they could bring value to the market, took a massive hit that year. And I don't want to see that happen to anybody on here, because I know it's in our control for that not to happen, but it's all based on what you're focusing on right now. Their focus was, if I plant seeds when the time is right, they will sprout. The other focus was, I'm scared and I'm being emotional and I'm reacting. And that scared emotional reaction caused them to go into a freeze, or it caused them to go in a wait and see. And that cost them an incredible amount that year, not just in money, but also in connecting with people who wanted their advice, who wanted to hear from them, who had just bought a house and going, did I just take a major hit? Did I do the wrong thing? Right? There were so many people wanted to hear from them who felt let down when they didn't. And that piece of it, money's not going to make up for that in your database. I know a lot of people feel that way. I feel that way about my advisor for my RRSPs right now, who will not call me back. And trust me, when this storm is done, he will no longer be my advisor. That is just a fact. So we have the agents who are right now focused on planning, focused on strategy. What are they doing? Everything on this list. And every single time they put a little bit of goodwill into the market, they have another little piece of wood for their raft, or they have another piece of string for their raft. They are out at sea in the storm and they're trying to build a raft. And all their focus on is on the wall of, how do I build the raft, right? How do I build the raft? Not just for myself, but so I also am strong, confident. I'm feeling like I have enough so I can give to others. Because if I feel confident, I'm more likely to donate to charities. If I feel confident, I'm more likely to help in my neighborhood, help my family, be positive, show strong leadership in a difficult time. If I'm emotional and I'm in fear, all I'm going to do is try to hold on to everything I have. And it's that ego telling me to just do nothing right now. So how's that playing out? those agents with that mentality, they're still at sea. They're still in a storm. So some of them are kind of bobbing around and just kind of trying to chill. They're watching Netflix, right? I know I should have said that, but anyway, that's a different story that I said by accident with my kids in an ice cream shop. It was a bad moment for them. I thought it was hilarious, but anyway. So they're in the storm at sea and they're bobbing around and they're waiting and seeing. They're like, I'm going to wait and see, you know, hopefully they don't get tired. And at the end of the day, they're hoping they wash up on shore somewhere and that their business is, you know, something they can work with. The other agent is freezing. So they're already underwater, like they've already taken a hit. They're going to take a hit coming out of this. So we can build a raft, we can wait and see, or we can freeze and be emotional and reactive, and we can take much stronger losses later. So the last point here I didn't get on yet is community connection, but I think I've alluded to it many times. If we have resources to help others, we're less likely to be in a position where we need extra help ourselves. And that's a place where we can be strong. So having strong businesses, you know, some people do things that are less respected with money. Some people are driven by money for the wrong reasons. Some people want strong businesses so that they can support in times like this, so that as we come out of this transition, people who are bobbing or people who took on water, we can help them along the way and we can lead the way. We can shine that light on the path for them so they can confidently take some action steps, which is extremely important right now. What about us? So we can focus on what we can do to help our clients, you know, to help our community. What about where we're at right now, which is a big part of what today is about? We have an ability, and these are all action items as well. And I'm just going to move so I can see all my points, because right now I can see the videos. So we have the ability right now to focus on how we can solve immediate problems that were created by this beautiful opportunity. And I think a storm is a beautiful opportunity. I wrote a book this past year without any acknowledgement that it would be as applicable as it is. The first chapter in the book is called Eye of the Storm. Every single leader I've ever worked with who made great changes came out of a storm to be as strong to know what they wanted. So what can we do right now? We can focus on our ability to adapt quickly. The solution you had yesterday might not be the solution you had today. The advice you gave to a client an hour ago might change an hour later. A great leader shows up and they communicate. They don't necessarily have all of the answers. So how can we be as adaptable as possible? You'll notice the market will change quickly too. Even what we thought as an industry a week and a half ago has completely changed. You know, again, it was bad. It was like a bad word to say you were doing anything in real estate on a lot of the groups across our country. Now people are talking about how they're being proactive, what they're doing, and other people are watching them to see, okay, maybe, you know, things are okay. I can still do some things to be productive. So how can I be as adaptable as possible? Most important, we all have two walls that we can focus on at all times. We have the wall of I can create solutions, and all great innovators, all great leaders are hyper relentlessly laser focused on the wall of I can. And they create solutions that other people would swear were never possible. And why were they swearing it was never possible? Because they were focused on the opposite wall. They were focused on what if this happens? And, you know, I can't do that. And it never used to be that way, right? The people on the I can't do that, I won't do that, it shouldn't be done that way. The people on that wall are usually focused in a different place. They're focused on judgment, they're complaining, they're criticizing, they're judging, they're gossiping, all those kinds of things. So if you're blaming, complaining, criticizing, or otherwise feeling sorry for yourself right now, you're probably on the I can't wall. And we all know what we focus on expands. So if I'm focusing on why I can't adapt or why I can't do something, it's literally all I'm going to see. There's the outside world right now, and there's the internal world. My internal world, what I'm focusing on, is going to create my perception of what's happening on the outside world. Some of us have loved ones who are ill right now. We're worried about them. Some of us have people who are on the front lines and are showing up. Some of us have businesses that we're fighting to keep going. You know, we have family at home and little kids. There's so many things that are happening. That's the external world. How can some people show up in those scenarios and lead strong regardless of what's going on, and do their best regardless of what's going on? Viktor Frankl has a great quote, and I use it all the time, so some of you might have heard it, but he wrote Man's Search for Meaning, and he was a psychologist, psychiatrist, maybe I'm for sure he's a psychologist, but anyway, he was writing in that book. Half of it was about logotherapy. The other half was about his experiences at the concentration camps, as you know, the Nazi concentration camps as a Jewish man, and he lost all of his work. Right, it was taken. He didn't have the work there, but he ended up to be able to go back after and make it even better because of his experience of what he went through. And I can't even imagine the hardships of that. But one of the things he talked about was saying anybody, even in a concentration camp, you can choose to be a swine or you can choose to be a hero. Even in the most detrimental, you know, degrading environments, degrading situations we could be in, you can choose to be a swine or you can choose to be a hero. The outside environment has nothing to do with it. We all right now could get emotional, we can get reactive, we can, I'm going to talk about it in a minute, we can take our ships and we can tie them super, super close to the dock as tight as possible and say, I want everything to stay the same and I want to wait until it goes back to normal. Or we can look at it and say, you know, how can we internally go to a place where, again, we're looking at, I can make changes. I wouldn't be in this situation if I wasn't capable of handling it. If the worst case scenario comes to pass, I can survive it. I can rebuild. That's what the I can wall looks like. It's creating with what you can do. And it's not looking at things that are outside of our control. So one of the action items is to always ask yourself, what am I focusing on? Am I focusing on things I can change? Or am I focusing on things that are out of control, which is going to leak my power? And when I leak my power, I don't have an ability to adapt. I don't have an ability to influence better outcomes in my life. Focus on where you are going, which is the I can wall, which is, we're going to talk about in a minute, responsive. One wall is responsive, one wall is reactive. The people who take the biggest hits in this crisis are going to be the same people who took the biggest hits in past crises, whether they were economic or financial versus now, you know, pandemic, it's still a crisis. The people who are emotional and react take the biggest hits. The people who are strategic and plan have the best growth, and they see these types of situations as an opportunity coming out on the other side. Focus on where you are going, build a raft. And finally, I'm going to recommend again to assess everything you're doing by two sides of the coin. One side is cost. It absolutely is. There's some costs that we need to adjust. Some of us have, you know, created more of a reserves than others, and you might need to go and explore what reserves you can have. The other side is an investment. So again, you can only realistically assess a cost. A cost is only ever relative when it's compared in relation to what that investment would make you in the big picture. I highly encourage you to look at micro. Here I am today. What can I do to be adaptable today? What immediate solutions do I need in my business today? Do I need language? Do I need consultations? Do I need Zoom training or whatever platform you're using? What immediate solutions do I need right now to be able to pivot in this market? That's micro. Macro is, what's the 3-month picture? What's the 6-month picture? What's the 12-month picture? What is this actually looking like? And what is a cost versus what is an investment in relation to time? So if I upgrade my CRM right now and I get my tags in and my plans in and I'm able to do much more business seamlessly, is that a cost today? No, it's an investment. And I'm not face-to-face as much. I have the time. So it's the least cost it could ever be in your business. If I have a team and there's vital skills that they're going to need to come out of this market and thrive, there's vital skills they need right now to stay busy from home, to have accountability, to be remote and successful. Is investing in those skills right now going to be a cost? No, it's going to be an investment because they're going to be able to still be productive. They're going to still plant seeds and they're going to transition out stronger. On top of it, you're going to be able to retain them because without bringing any value, that's certainly going to end up to be a cost for you. So sometimes we cut costs and they actually cost us a lot more in the long run. So those are some things that we can look at for ourselves. Those are all action items. If you're taking notes of things that you can do every single morning, I do it all the time. What wall are you focused on? Like course correct. Are you going towards the solutions or are you stuck in fear of the situation? Tension creates focus, right? Tension creates focus. Dan Sullivan was talking about that we will have you know, the equivalent of at least a decade, maybe more, of innovation and increases in efficiency in the next 2 to 3 months. And I couldn't agree more. It's absolutely true that right now we're being forced to make changes that many of us could have made before, that would have helped our businesses before, right? In a bull market, we can see this vision of doing something better in our business and we can invest in it. But even in the strongest economic markets, only 20% of us will invest in solutions that make our business better, more efficient, more productive, that we reach towards this ideal vision. 80% of us, even in a strong market, will still look to only do things when it becomes too painful to continue to do them the way we did them before. I will only make changes when continuing to do what I'm doing now becomes more painful than maintaining what I've always done. That's two very different mindsets, even in the strongest economies. Now we have the biggest gift we could ever have. Imagine if you could bottle tension, the type of tension that creates urgency. I'm going to ask you a question right now. Who do you think is adapting the most to this market? Who's pivoting? Who's adapting the most right now? And I'm going to give you a hint to the answer. It's the people who feel urgency to adapt because they feel tension and they actually want to have a positive outcome. Those are the people adapting right now. The people who feel urgency now are probably some of the same 20% who felt urgency to improve their businesses before. And some of them are doing it out of scarcity, out of desperation, out of fear. That if I don't have urgency now, I already wasn't successful enough in real estate to weather this storm. I need to use this time to get 10 steps ahead, or I'm scared I'm going to be out of the business. So tension creates focus, and that tension also creates urgency, which is our call to action, right? Using the power that comes from pain when properly harnessed is one of the most important things that people who build their business coming out of this will do. You guys are probably seeing, you know, Airbnb, Google, so many platforms were built in a crisis because a need came out of that time and somebody acted on it. And somebody else is really mad that they acted on it, right? But somebody acted on it and they were able to build something fantastic because of that. That quote was sent to me 2 days ago now by somebody who just sent it over, and I said, oh, that's cool. They're like, I wrote this in my journal. I'm going to look at it every single day. I'm like, that's awesome. So where did the quote come from? It sounds great. They said, Kathleen, it's from your book. I read your book. The quote's from you. And it didn't even hit me until then that you're right. Like the whole process is about weathering a storm to build and become stronger. So all of you can have a free digital copy. There's no hook, no attachment. It is a free digital copy. So if you're looking for something to guide you through, you know, what goes through people's minds when they go through storms like this, what actions do they take, what decisions, go ahead and download it. I hope you can see it clearly there. It is www.top1, like a numerical 1, percent, PERCENT, life, LIFE.com, top1percentlife.com. You're more than welcome to go and grab a copy of that for yourself. And I'm going to move it again because I keep blocking my own words. So I want you to take out your pen and write an answer to this question. And I'm going to give you like a full 60 seconds to do it. I'm going to try not to talk. 60 seconds. What do you need to do now to look back on this time with gratitude, knowing that you heard the wake-up call, you listened to the wake-up call, you used the wake-up call to improve your life? What do you need to do now to look back on this, you know, 12 months from now, 18 months from now, 24 months from now, and know I heard the wake-up call, I listened to the wake-up call, and I acted on the wake-up call to improve my life? What 3 things come to mind? What 3 things do you need to do now to look back 12 months, 18 months from now and know that you did what you could and it led to an improvement of your life in the future? And you can also write what those 3 improvements are in the future if you would like. So what 3 things do I need to do now? Just whatever pops in your mind, don't overprocess it. And what 3 things is it going to create that I'm going to be smile about, be happy about, be grateful for, in the future. So I'm just going to give you guys a bit of time here. And if you want to share them, I don't know, wherever you're watching this, if there's a chat, if you want to share them, every time you share something you're doing on a webinar like this to be productive, or that you're committing to doing, or that you're going to be grateful you did later, you motivate other people. Because some people are bobbing in the waves and they don't know what to do, and they're going to look to you guys building a raft, and they're going to start building a raft because you're building a raft. And I know that can seem like, I'm trying to motivate you, but it's also really true. So if you can share it on whatever platform, that would be fantastic. Three things I can do now, so I'm grateful later, and 3 things I'm grateful for already in the future that are going to come out of this because I'm creating them right now. Okay, I'm hoping that that has been 60 seconds and that you've had a chance to write that down for yourselves, because I think that's one of the most important things that I wanted to bring to you today, because it's a reframe. If every single day I say, what am I going to be grateful for 12 to 18 months from now because I took action today, it gives you a sense of delayed gratification to be able to walk in the dark now and create a path knowing where you're going. And all top innovators, top producers, they're all able to plant seeds in the dark when no one else can see them, and reach up and know, hey, I'm able to bring this into existence. I'm able to create a new reality for myself. You have to have faith for your vision and what you're going to do throughout this time, even when others around you don't have it. So this is the process that, and I'm sharing this with you because this is the process that we usually work with to help power people up so that they can expand their businesses. So today is the day for all of us to leave that overworked underachiever mindset behind, harness the power of this storm now to build a stronger business and a better quality of life later. I'm not going through all this process because you guys already know I don't have enough time left, but I wanted you to know something, that again, before we even start step 1, it's the storm. Step 1 is the bullseye. That's that ideal. That's what we just talked about. Where am I 12 to 18 months? That's giving me gratitude then, and that's putting me into action now. That place of gratitude in the future is your bullseye. It's where you want to go. It's what matters to you most. Don't waste a good storm. Don't waste what people wish they could bottle to give them the tension and the urgency to put them into action. I constantly am tripping my mind out, not on drugs because I don't do them. I can't, not Advil, that's it for me. But I'm constantly tricking my mind is what I meant to say. Say the darndest things live on webinars. So what I'm constantly looking to do is trick my mind into thinking that I have nothing to lose. Why? Because as soon as you get enough in your business, you want to hold on, and that ego and that fear goes, hold on to everything you have. And that's the quickest way that we can go downhill. I'm trying to always ask myself, remember when you were building this business and you were terrified and you had nothing and you didn't know how you're going to pay your mortgage or how you were going to feed your kids? Remember when that happened? Remember how you went all in and all the results came from going all in? So now what I do is I trick my mind and I say the equivalent of what you have now is nothing compared to the impact you could have by helping more people. What would you do with these opportunities today if you had nothing to lose? And it's like, I go for it, right? I go for it. So being able to be in that position where you can make an educated risk, like all great entrepreneurs do, is so important. Mindset matrix, there's a whole bunch of other steps here, and I'll give you guys some resources. But I want you to know is the storm is always the first step. So bullseye, what do you want? What are you grateful for that you already have and somewhere off in the future? It's already happened. You already made the right choices today, which created what you needed tomorrow. You resisted fear, you resisted emotions, and you resisted being reactive, which allowed you to plan today. That's the most important thing you can do. You have no power without values guiding you to a specific target, right? Your values, whatever they may be, minor contribution, challenge, knowledge acquisition, those things are really important to me. Obviously, family, friends, travel, not right now, but later, are important. So how do we know? I've said all this about the 2 walls, right? You have your responsive wall, you have your reactive wall. I've talked about that. How do you know which wall you're looking at? There's a really easy way to figure it out. The only way you can ever be responsive is if you know your outcome and you're having that magic pause. I call it a magic minute, but I add things. So the magic minute is when you you walk away from the system side for a second. And for me, sometimes you'll even see me, like I'll put my hand on my heart, because my magic minute is, wait a minute, what's the tonality? What's the body language of the other people involved in this? How are they feeling? You know, what are they saying versus what might be really happening? Because fear and stress cause us to react in all different ways. You know, what am I maybe missing because I'm in my head right now? That's a magic minute. So I want to do that first. Part of the next step of the magic minute is going, what is my ideal outcome? What's the absolute best thing that could come from this? I've got a seller calling me. They're so scared. Their house isn't selling. They're not getting showings. I don't know whether I should pull the house off the market, and they're starting to get angry with me. And all I can think is pull the house off the market, because I'm not being responsive. I'm being reactive. So instead of getting creative about what I could do right now to get more eyeballs on that listing, instead I'm going retreat, retreat, retreat. So if I did that magic minute with that seller, and I actually challenge myself to say, what is my best possible outcome? I would say, I want to maintain a relationship with this person. I want to maintain respect with this person. I want them to know I care. I want them to know I'm being proactive. I want them to know I have strategy. I want to be sensitive to the massive stress that's happening around them. And I want to have compassion that not everybody has the tools, the mentor, the support to know how to navigate these waters. They just don't. So I can lend compassion and an example. So I want all of those outcomes. Now, when I talk to that seller, the only thing I'm going to do with my words, with my tonality, with my action steps, with what I wear, how I communicate, what I think, what I say, what I do, it's all going to be in alignment with the outcome I'm looking to create. And the outcome could be feelings, it could be a home sale, it could be anything. You always know you're in a place of responsiveness when, instead of complaining, blaming, feeling sorry for yourself, judging, and FYI, judgment is not an action step for any of us, right? There's a whole bunch of people right now judging. The two polars are judging each other, but they're not doing anything. Right? So if I'm in judgment, I'm blaming, complaining, criticizing, I'm not looking at an outcome, and I have no ability to create more of a positive outcome. So what we want here is an ability to nurture something better happening, an ability to say, I can resist reacting because I believe I can create something better in this situation. So you can plant seeds or you can hit ceilings. That's it. That wall is planting ceilings, that wall is hitting ceilings, and you can only do one or the other, and there's no in between. So I'm either focused on the outcome, and therefore I respond, focused 100% on the outcome, or I get mad, I get upset, I get stressed, I forget myself. I'm human, it's going to happen sometimes, but if it keeps happening, I'm reacting. And the minute I'm reacting, it's like I'm standing on the tracks right now and a freight train's coming at me, and I have no ability to control that. When I had fear of flying, the only thing that made me realize that I was creating my own anxiety was I finally called myself out and said, what are you focusing on right now? If you truly believe this plane's going to be fine and you're going to land no problem, then why are you feeling this stress? Why are you like freaking out? Why is your brain telling you you're going to die on this plane? Like, that doesn't make sense. Those two things don't go together. So I called myself out and I said, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to envision a beautiful plane ride. Even if there is turbulence, I'm going to envision being okay with it and relaxing and breathing through it. I'm going to envision landing and getting my suitcase and getting the rental car and being great. And the minute I did that, something amazing happened. My breath rates, like my breathing slowed down. It got deeper. My heart stopped, like feeling like it was going to beat outside my chest. My brain finally, and my brain was kind of obstinate, but it finally stopped saying, you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die. And it actually relaxed and believed the outcome. So I can internally use this, and I can also externally use this. So I highly recommend using the formula, because it'll help you right away to acknowledge which way you're looking, and whatever you're focusing on is going to expand. You can focus on solutions, you're going to find more of them. You can focus on frustrations. You have no worries about finding more frustrations right now. But what you focus on, your body is literally experiencing. So if you're focusing on something that causes stress, your physiology is literally experiencing stress as if you're going through what you're focusing on, even though it may never happen. Energy flows where focus goes. Let's be strong so we can bring support. We can help those who need us right now, which means being responsive. So mindset matrix to stunningly successful. The next ones are super quick because I know I'm a couple of minutes over. I'm going to be careful about that. Why do some people but not others have an entrepreneurial mindset? Why are some people planning and leaning into educated risk right now? I have great news for you. It is not all genetic. Every single one of us have two things that are going to say how comfortable we're going to be leaning into risk. One is a predisposition, the way I was raised, my genetics, just the way I'm wired. The other is who I surround myself with. What do they believe? How do they see the world? One of the most important things you can do right now is be around strong, successful business leaders. Surround yourself with strong, successful business leaders. Ask advice from those people. Share your concerns, maybe only a little bit, with those people and get their perspective. Ask yourself, what would they do? What information would they look for? What choices would they make? Because if you're around people who see this as an opportunity to change, to improve, to grow, to learn, as an opportunity to lean into a better platform for their business and to really honor, our loved ones who we have fear that we could have losses right now. Some of us have had losses right now. I come from a background where my entire family are fire department, literally. My mom, my dad, my stepfather, my sister, her husband, his twin brother. My grandfather was district chief in Peterborough, and the line goes on. I'm literally the only one. My other sister took fire training. Her husband took fire training. I am the only one. I'm the odd duck out, as if you guys didn't already know that. But I didn't realize until recently how different they see crisis and transitions and turmoils. Our whole mentality, even just from being around them, is that in difficult times, tough times don't last, tough people do. In difficult times, we plan, we get clarity, and we be proactive. And I've been around people like that my whole life. The other side is all entrepreneurs who are right now saying, don't listen to the naysayers, get super focused on how you can help the market right now and how you can transition after. Be vital in a crisis. People need you. Those are the people I'm hearing. So when I go into the real estate world and I'm on these Facebook Lives and I'm on these, discussions, and people are just throwing mud at people being proactive in their real estate business, to me, it's like speaking a different language. I can't understand it. And why? Because I'm purposely surrounding myself with people who are going to take data and make educated decisions to plan right now. And I encourage you that every single one of us can, and we're going to be more able to help our communities if we do that, if we come from a place of strength. It's so important right now. So finally, we for years have posted, and I'm included, all these great posts, right? A rising tide lifts all boats, right? A rising tide lifts all boats, safe in a harbor, but that's not what ships are made of. We posted all this great stuff and it's super inspiring in this buyer's market or seller's market or wherever we're at. But then we hit a crisis and everybody's throwing their ropes over and tying it as tight as they possibly can, which for some of us is the most dangerous thing we can do. The most dangerous thing we can do for some of us right now. So we're getting near the end of this, and I just want to encourage you again, a storm brings the energy to create focus because there's changes you've wanted in your business. There's changes you wanted in your life. And if you harness the storm, you're going to make things better. And hiding right now from being proactive because the world is scary isn't going to make the world less scary. And it's not going to help the people who are suffering losses or who are scared right now. Getting proactive in your business might mean you also get proactive about, how do I donate to get more medical supplies around me? How do I help other people who are trying to do that? It's a mentality. It's all or nothing. I'm either responsive, I'm bobbing and waiting and seeing, or I'm freezing and I've taken on water. And the people tying the rope so tight aren't leaving room to leverage the most beautiful part of what's happening right now, which is to make the changes you were always meant to make. If you weren't meant to go through this process, you wouldn't be here right now. And I feel that way for sure about every single person who is watching that. Your values, your standards, your reputation on your way, you can anchor in your values, you can reach up for the changes that you want to make right now in your business. And really important, let's change before we absolutely have to. This is a wake-up call. We can hear it, we can act on it, we can make changes that are vital right now in our lives and in our business. And essentially, when everyone else is focused on getting by, average, good, maybe even great or excellent, we have the ability, you guys, as a platform, Century 21 Canada, being so progressive, so innovative, You can focus now on stunningly successful. Whatever you focus on is going to grow. Why would I focus on coming and operating as a leader in a storm at average? Why would I be a good leader in a storm? I want to be stunningly successful in my leadership, which might sound weird, but it means going all in, being fully present with everything that I have, so I come out of this with that same level of momentum, which I think are the values that Century 21 Canada are built on from everything that I've ever seen in the progressive, innovative mentality of your team. So you have that leadership already around you. For some of you, you're going to expand in this. You're going to build bigger brokerages. You're going to build bigger teams. And for some of you, if you go into emotional reaction, you're going to lose people, and you're going to lose people until it becomes so painful that you have to make changes anyway. Why wait until it becomes so painful that you're scared and you act out of scarcity when you could make changes today? So anyone looking to build a team, there's some common mistakes that people make all the time. If you want our help, if you put your phone up to the QR code, you get a report completely for free. There's nothing, no catch, nothing like that. You just put your phone camera on it. It'll pop up with a link, click it, and you can get that report from us now, so you can build a stronger team coming out of this crisis if that's what you want to do. So as always, let's model the best, forget the rest. Let's show up. You know, we've been preparing for this our entire lives. This is the time to show up and be as strong as we can for our friends, family, and community. And now or never, right? Your problem right now is also your solution. The problem is calling your attention to solutions you can make in your business right now to make it better later, and it's not going to cost you anything in time right now, whereas once you're face-to-face with clients, it'll seem to cost you a lot to go back and make the changes that you could be now. And in case you didn't get it, again, more than welcome for you to have a digital copy, top1percentlife.com, of the book. Let me know what you think, or if you have questions, I'm more than happy to connect with you. At the end of the day, I want a top 1% life. I do. You know, before this crisis, I've always had a reverence for life because my dad died at 41. You know, Leslie Ann, who I was training in real estate, died at 41. Terry, who I was training and knew for years, training him in real estate. They were so happy that they had changed their lives. They were so excited to be in this industry. Like, I can't tell you, both died at 41. I turned 41 last week amongst a coronavirus in a pandemic. And I already, for a couple of years, had leaned into, I want to live my best possible life, because it's not enough to have a top 1% business if I can't enjoy my life. The storm that came a few times in my life, and it doesn't matter when, those storms made me realize you're so focused on building these successful businesses, but you're not enjoying them. What if you focused on building a successful life, and then you built your business to be the vehicle to allow it to happen? You built your business to be the bank that's going to pay your way to be able to live your best life, either with money or energy or health, whatever it is. It's not just a financial thing. So I want to lean in and have reverence more than ever to live my best life, because right now life is being compromised, right? It's really important. So this storm can wake us up to have a better quality of life. So as always, we love to connect with all of you. And I just want to thank you. I want to thank Century 21 Canada. And Lee, I know I'm over. I apologize. So I don't know if there's questions or you guys want to cut it, whatever you need to do at this moment.
All right. Thank you, Kathleen. We've had lots of good feedback, lots of people continuing to stay tuned. We did have a very recent question. Andy asked, there's a lot of material and many actions to follow through with here. What would you suggest is the #1 priority that I should start working on as soon as this webinar is finished?
Great question. So #1 priority is first for all of us to check what you're focused on, because everything's going to flow from that, right? What you're focused on right now is going to create what you act on. So focus on solutions. I know that seems big picture, but that is #1 no matter what. Focus on solutions, because if you're focusing on solutions for yourself, your brain will adapt to speaking immediate solutions to the public, and that's what they need to hear from you. So first and foremost, it's a perspective shift if you need it. Some of you might have already done it. Second would be writing out your client process. Write out all the steps right now in your client process. If you don't have a full process and you need to shed some light on it, again, we did a mastermind last week. I'm more than happy, Lee, to send it to you guys, or anybody can ask for a recording from us. From there, ask yourself, what tools do I have, what systems in each step? If you don't feel like you have any of them, start at the beginning. Who do I need to communicate with right now? Shannon Smith did a webinar with Century 21 Canada already, specifically about that. Who do I need to communicate with right now? What do I need to say to them? How often do I need to talk to them? How are they going to feel helped and valued from me right now? That's your first step. From there, you can go into, buyer consultation, listing consultation, because essentially once you have a client experience, a client process, sorry, you're going to want to have the tools to move it remote. But if you don't have it, that might feel overwhelming. So just start at the beginning. Start with the communication to be able to reach out to who you need to be able to know how to organize those people in your database. And from there, it's going to domino, because you're going to talk to people and it's like, wait, they do have an interest in having information on buying right now. Wait, they do have an interest in the selling process, even though they don't want to list tomorrow. Okay, now I'm going to build my next step and my next step and my next step, right? So, I mean, obviously you need a routine and you need to be having working time during your day to do that. But I think you're asking me for strategy, and that's what my answer is around.
Excellent advice. Thank you. I think that will wrap us up for today. So many good quotes. We've had a ton of feedback from people saying this is what they needed. Lots of people typed their 3 things that they want to follow through with. So thank you for getting people to do that exercise and forcing them to do it in the moment. I think you were able to provide people with exactly what their focus should be at this time. One of the many quotes that I wrote down, don't waste a good storm. So we can all start with that. Kathleen, thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure to have you and speak with you. And we look forward to the next time we meet.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody for joining us. Thank you. I'll leave you guys. Stay safe, stay strategic. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks, Kathleen. And everyone, we do have the Top 1% Life link in the chat here. So if you did want to download that book, you're able to go there to that site and do that. Tomorrow, we are going to be joined by 2 representatives from CREA for a panel discussion that will take place tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. We look forward to seeing you right back here then. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.